Good morning. Good afternoon. The caffeine be kicking in, baby dolls. So I thought I would do a little. Oh, hey, dude. I thought I'd do a little streaming before MLC and the big recap show. We don't have to talk about Atlantic City. It's just the caffeine kicked in. So I thought, this will be like pregame. But we can talk about anything. We can talk about the Super Bowl. We can talk about the LA Kings. We can talk AEW wrestling rumor. The rumor on the street is they have signed both Kazusuke Okada and Mercedes Moné. Some of you might know her as Sasha Banks. Yes, I'm sure the Brennan Levy stuff will be covered in detail in about an hour or so, 1:00. So this is just a quickie. Yes, Brittany, that was my ex-girlfriend, not Lois, Kibble, the amazing Cairn Terrier. RFK Jr. has big timed me. And what he's going to quickly learn is that is the wrong course of action with Mr. Earl Skakel. I'll sink his campaign. I'll go outlaw. So, he's doing a comedy show where some of the comics will not be providing comedy. But that's the business of stand-up comedy in Hollywood. He is literally my cousin, first cousin. He has been to both of my parents' funerals. And I still can't get on the fucking show. Welcome to Hollywood. Well, I mean, he's not going to win, let's be honest. But I do wish he would be allowed on the debates because he's just a quicker thinker. Thank you, Jerry Barker. Anyone's going to be quicker than Biden and Trump. Because even Trump is starting to confuse people's names and, it's a little scary that these are the two best choices. They're really not the two best choices, to be frank. They're just the two choices. So, no one else is, really. RFK is probably the only person who's even remotely in the same ballpark. Nikki Haley lost in Nevada the other day to undecideds. Literally, people said, we'll vote for anyone but her. She was running against herself, basically, and she still lost. So she ain't the answer. I know we want to get a woman in the White House. I think that'd be pretty cool. Can you imagine if a woman's on her period and she has to decide whether to drop a bomb on someone? She's probably like, fuck these guys. My pussy's bleeding. But we'll see what happens, I don't see too many younger-ish women who are qualified to be president. Age limits are tough because, based on the two guys running, yeah. But listen, I experience ageism in comedy almost every show I'm on. But, that's stand-up. We're talking about the person with the nuclear codes. We're talking about the person who could send people off into war to die. So I think I mean, I don't know what the age limit would be, but I mean, if it, let's say Biden wins, he'll be like 85. Like, an 85-year-old person is just, and I don't think people really realize the traveling that a president of the United States does. And man, at 85 years old, you're not built for that. To go to, Dubai for a summit meeting, that's fucking nuts to put an 85-year-old through that. I mean, yeah, there's probably a little bit to that. I mean, I still don't think he would do very well. He's like this generation's Ross Perot or Steve Forbes. I like Steve Forbes, man. 10% flat tax, everyone pays. I like that idea. What up, Gavin? But, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's too late now. And I mean, really the only reason Haley's staying in the race is just to fuck with Trump. And Trump is so unlikable, people dig her for staying in the race just to be a bitch. So, you know, uh, I, I mean, I kind of like that, but at the same time, it's a lot of wasted money. Her contributors are, like if you're donating money to Nikki Haley, like that, you might as well just put your money in a paper shredder. Uh, I mean, I don't know if I believe in taxing the rich any more than anyone else because, the rich should get the biggest tax breaks. To me, if they're the ones making the majority of the money for the country, um, I'm not saying stick it to the middle class or the poor's, but that's why you see like a lot of people leaving California and going to say Austin. And I don't mean just comics, but is because you're basically in California, you're penalized for being good at whatever you do. Like I live in West Hollywood, I'm taxed on my taxes. And last night I'm walking Lois, guy just pulls down his pants in front of me and takes a shit on the sidewalk. Uh, so, well, I think voter apathy is, you know, I just think both, there's so many bad candidates, and we're basically being forced to, pick between two bad people. Like it's like going on into a car lot and you want a Porsche, but the only choices are Pinto and IKEA. Oh yeah, 100%. Politics is corrupt. Both sides. You know, I actually watch all three networks. I watch CNN because I feel sorry for them. I watch MSNBC and I watch Fox. Uh, so I mean, I just you look at like Rogan as the ultimate example of Rogan did everything the right way, whether you like his comedy or not, or his interviews. He started out as a struggling comic, and I realize that, it's hard to think Joe Rogan struggled. He did. He was an unknown comic at one point, and he traveled one end of this country to the other and into Canada, all around, busted his ass, got on Fear Factor, got the UFC gig, and he busts his ass. And he left California because like it's crazy out here. I mean, I make a good living doing what I do with the voiceovers and comedy and acting and all that. And I'm not saying I struggle to pay taxes or whatever, but uh, you know, and I'm never going to leave California. I've been to Austin. I like it there, but I couldn't live there. So it's just like I don't know how poor people live. I really don't. I mean, I've given the example of, when I went to the Steelers. Hold on, let me get my energy drink. They are not a sponsor, but I have given the example of I went to the Steeler. I do. These are Aviator Nation. They are great pants. I'll show you a little bit. You got to pay for the rest. When I went to the Steeler Rams game, uh, I don't. I truly don't give a fuck. I paid $100 for parking at SoFi Stadium. I do have a nice ass, to be honest with you. It's like even the lesbian in yoga the other day. It's like, listen, you know what team I play for, but you have a great ass. I'm like, well, come on over. Boing. $100 to park. Food was probably 60, $70 for one person. So I'm out $170 before my ass even hits the seat. The seat was $367. So to watch a football game was, after everything, about $600. Like, and my seat was good, but it wasn't great. $600 for one afternoon for 3 hours of entertainment. So there you go. That's who's leaving San Francisco. I mean, because I can't handle seeing these people left dying on the streets and pile. Yeah, I mean, well, but AJ drinks. It's not going to be any better anywhere else you go. I mean, I did probably the last time I'll be employed by Comedy Central. Um, I did their comedy festival, Cluster Fest, and it was in San Francisco. And I was staying. They put me up at a really nice hotel. Of course, I had to pay for my room. Like, what? You guys asked me to do the festival. I'm paying for my room. But welcome to Hollywood, baby dolls. Um, so I wake up and I forget the name of the hotel. It was an Asian themed hotel, but it had a great gym. And I remember the first morning I went to go across the street to get the 7-Eleven. There was a guy literally shitting in the middle of the street. And this was a crowded street. I I get across and there's a guy at the 7-Eleven holding the door open for me with a heroin needle sticking out of his arm, blood squirting everywhere. I'm like, "Thank you, Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi." And I don't like to get very political because I think when you're political, you risk losing half your audience. But well, Richard, I've had a few root canals. If you have a good dentist, you don't even feel it. I have a great dentist, Dr. Shaylin McDonough in Brentwood. Um, I know. I don't know if it was called Hotel Kabuki. I think it was Hotel Great Muda. Um, but it was crazy. And then the festival was at the Bill Graham Theater, or some of it was. The roast battle part was. So, because they had asked me to do roast battle. I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. And they're like, oh, we'd really like to have you on. I'm like, all right, I want stand-up spots too. So I basically forced him to put me on stand-up shows. Like, they didn't even want me on the stand-up part, but I'm like, you want me to do roast battle and embarrass myself? Then I want stand-up shows. So they put me on Todd Barry's crowd work show, and I kind of bombed, but that's all right. But it was just like, so when I walked from at night from my hotel to the Bill Graham Theater. It's about a mile walk, but I was nervous. So I'll walk off the nerves. It'd be perfect. And man, it was fucking crazy. It was like that scene in Escape from New York where Kurt Russell's hiding from the bad guys and all the mole people start coming out of the sewers. I thought I was in Escape from San Francisco. And in California specifically, there's no excuse. It's a Democratic state. So the Democrats have no excuse. Like the governor's Democratic, most mayors, not all, but most are Democratic. The House is Democratic, the Senate's Democratic. Like, it's like Republicans have no excuse in Texas where everything's Republican. So I know, Grandma Earl. I really am turning old when I'm talking about the state of California politics. And now you've got Newsom wanting to run for president probably in 2028. And holy fuck, man. Like this guy can't even run California right. He wants to run the country. But he does look like a politician. Like he looks like Bill Pullman in Independence Day. No, it's all good, Luna. I mean, listen, this is a Dabbleverse light stream. So we can talk about that stuff, but you guys know my rule. It's $30 for any Dabbleverse questions, which basically ensures no Dabbleverse questions. Oh, I know. I mean, those are the choices. I'll be honest with you, I'm not gonna vote for either. I just can't. It's like, I voted for Trump in 2020, you know, but I just, his financial policies benefit me more than Biden's. Great game. We can talk the Super Bowl. I'm a Steeler fan, but we can talk about the Super Bowl. I mean, it's really probably one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time. Um, I mean, I was nervous in the fourth quarter in the overtime, and I could literally care less who won. Um, so I just want a good game. Um, I thought the Comedy Store was a commercial Spencer's trying to profit off the comedy name. I don't know what you mean by that. Not unauthorized. Oh, you drove by it. Yeah, I mean, it's, the same. It's, you know, externally, it's the same look it's been since the 70s. It's a black building with a lot of white names on it. Of course, some of those names shouldn't be on it, but we won't get into that. But, you know, that what can I say? Now, I think my Will Osprey jacket is being delivered right now. I mean, this would be a 40-hour podcast if I started naming people who shouldn't be on the wall. Uh, that's cool, Luna. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to feel sorry for someone, like on Saturday night, I had a main room spot, and so I get to park in the parking lot, and it was probably literally 30 to 40 cars in the lot, and it's a very narrow driveway. So the poor parking lot guy, who is a comic, because all the employees at the Comedy Store are comics, except for some of the security guys. That guy, like Chris Higgins, who was a very, very funny comic. He had to maneuver these cars like within inches of each other, not hit because they're all nice cars in that lot, for the most part. Like as I'm pulling up, Leslie Jones is pulling out. She drives I don't know, $100,000 SUV. I drive a nice Jeep, so it's just like kind of maneuvering. And then if you get stuck in the middle of the driveway, usually the car coming into the driveway has to back out, and you're backing out into Sunset, which is like full. Um, the Saturday night cars are flying down there, and like it can get hectic. And I'm nervous because I got a main room spot. So, but luckily, It was all good. Now, let me just check outside my door. I think my Will Osprey jacket was just delivered. Indeed. So, what up, William Zoom? We're gonna do a live package reveal. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. How many people do a live package reveal? So this is a Will Osprey jacket. I should tape this with my phone as well, but I don't know how to do all that stuff. Actually, I'm gonna try and do two birds with one stone here. I'm just trying to make it, guys. And notice how I haven't begged for money once. Like William Zoom said, I'm your bartender. If you like, tip me. If you don't, hit the like button. All right. So here we go. This is the Will Osprey track jacket reveal. Now I have no idea if this is gonna fit. I just want Will Osprey to I don't know, follow me back on oh, that's pretty nice. I guessed on the size. Perfect fit. So Will Osprey, bruv, while you've been sitting at home having United Empire wipe your ass, brother, I've been working my ass off so I can afford your merchandise. So the least you can do, bruv, is follow me back. And welcome to AEW. I'll be in Greensboro, one of the Carolinas, for Sting's final match. Will you, bitch? It's a little tight around the shoulders, but pretty good, pretty good. Can't believe I just cut a promo on Will Ospreay. It just fits enough. Yes, like and subscribe, Grandma. Listen, not unauthorized. If you're gonna call me Grandma, you really should super chat that bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I'm coming in hot because the caffeine's kicking in. This is a nice jacket, though. A little tight right here, but made by Bricksmith. Well, the tricky thing with buying something from the UK is they have different sizing. So um, that's the tough thing because UK large is not um, American large. So it's like because I ordered his track jacket as well, and I ordered large because that's what I wear an American size, and it was snug. It's wearable, and I'm not going to return something from the fucking UK, but um, you know, and I've also started lifting weights again, so I'm a little not bulk. I'm certainly not like busting out of this, but um, you know, it fits. I mean, I'll wear it on stage. And hopefully, Will Osprey, got his I don't know, $100 from this sale. I do like it. It's comfy. The hands in it like that. Maybe more. No, I'm not on TRT. I did look into it a few years ago. Um, but the guy was like, "Yeah, your balls shrink if you do it." And then, once you do uh, TRT, you can never stop taking it because if you stop taking it, you lose all the benefits. Because if you do it long enough, your body stops naturally producing it, testosterone. So I think, I mean, I do get a little more tired than I used to at 55. Um, the Brad, the Brad, um, it's Blacksmith, BLCKSMTH. You go on their Instagram page and, I guess tell them I sent you. I don't get a cut of anything. But, I love Will Osprey. If you follow wrestling, you got to be kind of a mark to know who he is. He is uh, most known for his New Japan Pro Wrestling, which ended this weekend. So he's now coming into AEW. Now, I will assume he will um, come possibly at Revolution, which is Sting's last match, March 3rd in Greensboro. But I don't know if he'll get involved in that particular match. Also on the card is Eddie Kingston against Bryan Danielson. So I could see him interfering or doing something in that match because both those guys have done New Japan. I believe Eddie Kingston was the New Japan Openweight champ, I think, or lightweight heavyweight champ. And I think Bryan Danielson has wrestled over there. So it makes sense for Ospreay to kind of interfere in that match. He doesn't really have a history with the Young Bucks or Sting. But, I guess he could. Oh, I disagree. There's been Dr. Nova. There's been some real good ones. Maybe not as publicized, but in AEW, they had Wardlow do a swanton bomb off an incredibly tall ladder. And Wardlow, if you're a wrestling goober, Wardlow is like a kind of a younger version of Mike Awesome. Like he's this giant dude, but he's really athletic. So, but in terms of supplements, what I take now, I mean, I take a multivitamin. I take some, branched chain aminos when I lift weights. Um, I do take a testosterone. I don't know what you would call it, like a additional. It's like the stuff you can get at GNC. It's not like a pill or any, a shot. Um, Strangely, I found boron good for sex because I think it opens up the your blood vessels, your capillaries, which your dick is a muscle, and I think not, I think it's the largest uh, concentration of blood vessels in your body, maybe outside the heart. You'd think I'd rather have my heart pumping other than my dick. Um, Boing, but so any supplement that opens up your capillaries and blood vessels is going to help your sex life if you're having trouble with it. Um, so um, take that as I don't know, advice from Earl. I used to be a certified personal trainer. through the American Council on Exercise, ACE. Um, and so I know what I'm talking about with supplements. And you definitely, the older you get, have to um, kind of change your routine, based on. Um, I still am Dr. Nova. I still am. What's your craziest experience at a wrestling show? I mean, probably XPW show. Well, here, absolutely. I do have one crazy. So, as many of you know, or maybe none of you know, um, I am multi-talented, Ross. Pew, pew. As many of you know, I like XPW. That's Extreme Pro Wrestling, owned by Rob Black, who used to own a porn company. So it's a uh, wild wrestling organization. It's like ECW with no money. So the last match one night was Masada against Schlack, who at the time was the hardcore champion. And when you're a hardcore champion, you're a tough guy. When you're a hardcore champion in XPW, you're a very tough guy. So the main stunt was Masada blowing a firebomb. You know, do you like this, Jordan? I'll stand up for Jordan just to. Well, I've been working. You've been having the Young Bucks wipe your ass, brother. I'm getting pretty good at a Will Ospreay impression. It's a little tight, Jordan, in the shoulders, but what am I gonna do? So the main event was Masada against Schlack, and the main stunt was Masada was going to blow a firebomb like Gene Simmons does at the in the firehouse. He was going to put I think like lighter fluid or something in his mouth, and he lights a flame like a lighter and goes, and that was going to blow in Schlack's face. So the match starts. And my buddy, the Body, who's this young kid in XPW, he'll fucking do anything. Like this kid's, if he lives till 30, you think Darby Allin does wacky shit? The Body in XPW, like he will do anything they tell him to get over. Like one time in a match, he put a hypodermic needle through his dick, and like no problems doing it. So all of a sudden, the Body comes up to me in a panic and goes, "Hey man, can you go get lighter fluid at the liquor store?" And I'm like, for what? We forgot to get the lighter fluid. And I'm like, well, bro, I know friends of mine who are stuntmen. Um, that's not the kind of lighter fluid you use for a stunt like this. They need it's something that's non-oil based. So, it doesn't blow up in the guy's face. And Masada has like a beard, like a Brody Lee style beard, and I'm like, if anything gets in his beard, his face is. They're like, yeah, well, just get it. So now I go from being backstage at XPW, just relaxing, to having to get in my car, drive like a maniac to the liquor store down the street, and I go in there. I'm like, hey man, I need some lighter fluid right now, and I had like a wrestling shirt on. He's like, oh, what do you need it for? I guess kids buy it to do, bad stuff. So the guy's like, wait a minute, you're not with that XPW show, are you? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm not selling you anything. I'm not getting sued. But the guy over across the street, well, is another liquor store. So I go over there and I'm like, hey man, I need anything like lighter fluid or whatever. He gave me Zippo fluid, whatever that is. I'm like, I'm in. So I run back there. I show it to the Body, and he's like, "Yeah, this will do." I'm like, "I don't think so, bro. This is pretty oil based." I show it to Rob Black, who's the owner. He's like the Vince McMahon of XPW is like, yeah, fuck it, that'll work. So they get it to Masada. He does the first fireball. It's pretty good. And, you know, he does the second one and he was dripping like sweat and all kinds of shit. And I think the Zippo fluid, I think he had it in his mouth and so he just spit and it got into his beard. And so he blew the second fireball and his whole face lit up on fire. And his girlfriend's next to me watching, or his wife, or his girlfriend, I'm not sure which. I told him not to do this fucking stunt, fucking asshole. And she's waiting in the gorilla position. So when the match is over, she's going to yell at him. I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. Like his face is on fire. And they didn't even have uh, I think someone brought a fire extinguisher from the restaurant next door. Like it took a while. And it's on YouTube somewhere. If you look up Masada Fire XPW, it should pop in there. And that's the craziest wrestling story I have. You know, so it was pretty wild and kind of cool that I got to be a part of it. But that's XPW. And then that night when I'm leaving, the guy's like, "Hey, do you want to help take down the ring?" I'm like, "What the fuck?" I want a T-shirt. So they gave me a T-shirt, and I just walked off. Not set. I mean, what am I, a poor? I'm not helping break down a ring. And it really outside of that, I mean, uh, nothing too wacky. I mean, one night, Sarah Tiana, my good buddy, took me to see Dolph Ziggler wrestle because they're friends, and it was at the Forum. I'll never forget. Amazing match between him and The Miz, and we were like second row, so we heard everything. And I also remember on the card was Miro against Brock Lesnar, and the way they threw each other around was fucking unbelievable. I mean, two gigantic dudes just doing like stuff like cruiserweights would be doing. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't get into people's relationships, uh, but so we go backstage, and Tiana walks off somewhere, and I start just walking around, and I turn a corner, and I bump into Brody Lee and Bray Wyatt. And like I'm a pretty big guy, 6'1", 200 maybe. And when I'm doing yoga a lot, I really shrink down to like 190-ish. So I'm not like gonna impress anyone backstage at a wrestling show with my body. Uh, and I, I bump into Brody Lee first, and he's quite bigger than me, or was. Rest in peace. Uh, and he just looks down at me and goes, "Watch it, kid." And then Bray Wyatt kind of smiled, and then they took off. And it was like that scene in Fast Times where the black kid, or where the white kid looks at Forrest Whitaker and goes, "Wow, man, you live here? I thought they just flew you in for games." But other than those two experiences, my wrestling experiences have been pretty, normal. Like Big Bill got me tickets for Full Gear. So I was sitting next to the camera, literally on the hard cam side. So that was kind of neat to like hear the cameraman getting instructions on what to shoot, and But other than that, pretty normal. I like Brody King too. I'm hoping the rumors of House of Black leaving AEW aren't true. I really like them, but they haven't really done much with those guys. So I could see those guys. But they're gonna get buried in WWE. They won't be primetime players. So, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. I know Brody Lee, Brody King, Brody Jenner. By the way, if you like wrestling, I'm sensing most of you in this chat room, dude, check out Jordan's video he did Saturday on Billy Jack Haynes. Very good video. My dog is sleeping right now. Well, Gavin, you're from the UK. You should like this Will Ospreay, Jack. He's bruv. Um, Harley Race pulls a gun on Hulk Hogan. I could see that. Harley Race was a old school guy. Like he didn't fuck around, and he probably hated Hulk Hogan because Hulk Hogan was everything Harley Race hated. So, by the way, it's 12:45 right now. We're gonna do 15 more minutes, and then I'll let Kevin Brennan take over the internet. Um, well, I mean, I would guess, and Mercedes Moné. There's two big shows, Jordan, as you know, coming. This jacket is really comfortable. I mean, it's very well, it's pretty. It wasn't that much money. It was like 115 US. Um, I would guess. I mean, there's two big cards coming. We've got Revolution and oh, sorry, my bad. Sorry about that. I think this is carbonated. Oh, sorry. And the can's dented. It looks like Robert Davi's face. This can. So they shook it up. They shook it up. Um, so he could potentially debut at Revolution. Um, I mean, it would make sense if he debuted, interfered, or did whatever with the Danielson Eddie Kingston match because there's a New Japan tie-in there. Uh, doesn't really make sense for him to do anything in the Sting Young Bucks match unless he came out with Kyle Fletcher and Mark Davis. But Mark Davis has been kind of MIA. Now, in terms of Okada, they could debut him the same night Sasha Banks. I think it's March 13th at the Boston Garden. But that would kind of take away Sasha's shine because that's her hometown. So I don't see them doing it then. But I don't see them doing Okada at Revolution because you really want Sting to get the shine. So they may not even do Osprey that night. Um, yeah, I mean, I could see because Eddie Kingston was. You might know this, Jordan, more than me. Um, Eddie Kingston was the New Japan lightweight champ or the Open champ. And explain to me what lowest rules means. I don't. I'm not in on that T-shirt. I want to get it obviously because of my dog. But some great matchups for Osprey in AEW. I mean, Kingston or Danielson would be great. MJF. Can you imagine the shit talking between MJ? See, if I were them, I would have MJF and Osprey in London. That'd be big business. Um, who else could we see? I mean, Osprey and Malachi Black. I mean, I'd love to see that. Um, who else? You could have Osprey and I mean, I'd like to see Osprey again. I mean, I mean, Osprey and Omega I could watch 100 times, but I don't know. Um, if there's a need for a fourth match, but maybe Osprey against Takeshita, Osprey against maybe someone newish like Daniel Garcia. Uh, I mean, there's a lot of good matchups. I mean, Osprey and Okada would be great, but that's because I don't think a lot of people in the American market have seen their New Japan stuff, so that would be new to American markets. Um, so we'll see. Uh, oh, okay. See, I don't listen to Tony's podcast, so I didn't get that reference. I mean, Norman Smiley, I could see him being a legit tough guy. Um, okay, thanks for filling me in, Jordan. I don't. The one podcast listen to the most is probably, I think he's British, but he's interviewing Shane Douglas. I mean, it's Shane Douglas's podcast, and Shane Douglas keeps it real. Like, he's not too bitter either. Like the Ultimate Warrior turned off a lot of people because he was kind of bitter. But when he died, everyone was like, oh, most of what he said was true. So you know, um, yeah, Norman Smiley. For those of you not knowing what Jordan is saying, I was going up the escalator once at the Beverly Center. He was going down, and I asked him to do the wiggle, and he told me to fuck off. I get it, you know. Probably pretty annoying when you're just shopping and some idiot's like, "Hey, man, do the wiggle." Looking back, I understand. I understand it. Yeah, I listen to Jarrett's podcast every now and then, but Shane Douglas, the guy who interviews him, always sets him up with good questions. Good-looking British guy. Of course, he might be US based, but I just did the Wiggle Baby Cakes. Um, so yeah, yeah. Well, Shane Douglas isn't too bitter though, so he actually has like really good insight. And like, I just watched the video where someone asked him who the toughest guys were, and he and Shane Douglas is a tough guy. Like, I would not want to fight Shane Douglas right now. Like, he seems the type that um, you know would be pretty hard to hurt. Um, I mean, my toughest, like, say the top 5 legit tough guys, and everyone's number 1 is Haku. I mean, can you imagine a prime Haku, like, trying to fight him? So I would say, what up, Easy 1, 2, 3. I would say, Norman Smiley. No, not Norman Smiley. Haku, number 1. And another guy who's kind of an under the radar tough guy, but you'd want kind of to be on his side in a bar fight or whatever would be Dan Spivey. Like, look at that one fight him and Sid had against the jobber who wouldn't job. Like, he was in his hometown, so he's like, "I'm going to show these two guys up." Can you imagine trying to your brain set going into a match with Sid Vicious, a prime Sid Vicious, 6'8", 320-ish pounds, jacked. Dan Spivey, no small man himself, probably 6'6", 300. And this guy's like, "I'm gonna show them up." And they beat the shit out of him. At one point, you hear Teddy Long, the camera picks up Teddy Long saying, "Beat this motherfucker up." And apparently they beat him up backstage too. Um, so I would say Haku, Spivey, and then you could kind of mix and match. I mean, Billy Jack Haynes was a guy who you didn't fuck with. Like, you didn't rib Billy Jack Haynes, you didn't rib Bruiser Brody, um, Harley Race. Uh-oh, hold on. We have our first super chat of the day from the legend Peter Chicken Man Brennan. I hope your brother's all right from the fight with Bob Levy. Nothing like seeing 2 60-year-olds go at it in a casino. It's not the first time I've seen that. Who who was your favorite wrestler that wore a dress? I mean, I guess Adrian Adonis when he was doing the flower shop. I really wish I could say the F word on this, but I don't want to get fired. Scott Casey retired from wrestling to become a gigolo in Vegas. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's rumored that Buff Bagwell and Ultimate Warrior were gigolos in Atlanta before they like made it. That was my favorite joke I did in the Roast of the Iron Sheik. Is I came out dressed as the Ultimate Warrior and Buff Bagwell was in the front row. And I was pretty muscular at the time. I mean, I definitely didn't look like the Ultimate Warrior, but like, maybe when he was a 12-year-old. Um, but I'd been over in front of Buff Bagwell and I turned around and was like, "Hey, you're familiar with this view?" And he's like, "What?" And then he asked me for cocaine 2 minutes later. Um, shit. I mean, but I don't know. Like, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want to fight superstar Billy Graham or Hulk Hogan either. But like, just because they are fucking strong. Like, but I'm talking in a bar fight. Vader strikes me as a type of guy who was probably um, good guy to have on your side in a bar fight. Sid, like, I don't know how good of a fighter he was in like a real life fight, but that's not a guy like a fully roided up Sid. Not someone I'd like want to piss off. Vader had that one match where his ice came out of his socket and he just put it back in. Like, so can you imagine hitting that guy in the face and going, "Oh fuck, he didn't move." Andre the Giant was probably a guy um, that was pretty hard to beat in a fight. Bad News Brown. Um, a legit judo champ. So, he'd be the type of guy where you throw one punch, you'd miss, and then he puts you in an arm bar and breaks your arm. Um, Trying to think, you know, I mean, Ole Anderson looks like, he's probably slower than shit, but like he seemed like the type if he threw a punch at him, wouldn't even phase him. Now I'm talking about guys in their prime, and oddly enough, a guy like Giant Gonzalez, how would you fucking fight that guy? 7'7", probably 300 pounds, but looked like he was 150 because he was so tall. Like, like what he was just like what would you do with that size? Um, I'm trying to think. I mean, there's so many tough guys. Oh, wait, Peter Chicken Man Brennan coming in hot with the important questions. Um, best best hairy chest in the history of professional wrestling. That's a tough one. There's some good hairy. Scott Hall, Shawn Michaels, Hulk Hogan had a hairy chest. There's very early footage of him, I think, in AWA where he had like dark, like a nice hairy chest. Rick Rude had, before he started shaving his chest, it was quite good. I mean, there's not enough hair in the world for Abdullah the Butcher to Albert from TNA. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Hillbilly Jim. Um, well, I mean, Brock Lesnar, I mean, it's going to be tough for him to get. Thank you, Peter Chicken Man Brennan, for being the number one tipper today. Notice we've done 52 minutes. I haven't begged for money. This ain't a panhandling show, brothers. We got about 8 more minutes before Peter's brother Kevin takes over. So, get your questions in. George Animal Steel, it's solid choice, William Zoom. Solid choice. I'm trying to think who else. Colonel De Beers, old school world class championship wrestling. He had a nice. He was the guy who would. He had a nice hairy chest. This might be the gayest stream I've ever done. But thank you to Peter Chicken Man Brennan for his tips. Yeah, Bruno Sammartino. So I mean, I'm not. That was right before I got into wrestling. Bruno Sammartino. I'm trying to think of some old school guys. Um, you never really saw his chest, but I'm guessing Akeem. Um, yeah, well, 100%. If you count the bodysuit, no one comes close to Giant Gonzalez. I was watching a war game. I think it was a War Games. I think he was in the match where Abdullah the Butcher got electrocuted. And there was some wild. It was supposed to be all these different guys, and guys kept dropping out of the match. Um, But, and so Giant Gonzalez was kind of thrown in there last minute. What a match. It was Sting, the Steiner brothers, Abdullah the Butcher, Cactus Jack, Giant Gonzalez. Just look up Abdullah the Butcher execution, WCWs. And the way Jim Ross and I think it was Shivani are selling it like he's actually getting electrocuted. That's fucking funny, man. I mean, WCW, that's a wild shit. It might have been under the Georgia Championship. It might not have even been WCW yet. 7 minutes to get your questions in, kids. I don't want to get yelled at by the Dabbleverse for being on at the same time as Brennan. Kevin Brennan, that is. And then I get yelled at, and then they stream snipe me, and like, I'm not into that shit. Kevin Sullivan, yeah, Kevin Sullivan liked to, he was from the Vince McMahon school of let's make real life feuds. Like, I think he booked him and Benoit against each other when Benoit stole his wife from him. Same thing with Edge and the Hardys, and Lita. And those are good When you can get two guys or girls, I guess, who have real life beef, uh, those are good matches because a little bit of it's real. Yeah, I mean that Kevin Sullivan was out of control, and Benoit, like, at least we know his finishing move worked. Hello. Wait a minute, I forgot to do this for Peter Chicken Man Brennan. When someone super chats me, I do the Steve Stevens ray gun. So here's ray gun number one for the Chicken Man Peter Brennan. Here's number two for Peter Chicken Man Brennan. Um, well, my question is, where was the kids' tag team partner? Hello. I did that joke on the Lois is great. She's asleep right now. I don't like to wake her up when she's sleeping. I'm gonna take her on a very long walk. Peter Chicken Man Brennan, $2. Did Bushman ever tell you Kimmel touched his dong? He did not. I've never. Hockey Tonk, Tennessee. We got a oh, I thought that said hockey. It said honky tonk, honky tonk man. Um, One of my favorite shoot interviews is when someone asks him about Rick Rude killing himself. Uh, you can tell Honky Tonk he just finished a match or something. He's like, I don't know, man. Someone told me he injected Viagra into his dick because he could fuck a lot of broads, and then his dick blew up or something crazy, right? Like, it's a great way to talk about your friend. Bushman did never. Uh, he never told me that story. But I did do a comedy show. Maybe I was about 5, 6 years into comedy, and I'll never forget. It was Acapulco. Acapulco's on Sunset, which later became the Dojo of Comedy. And they had like an open mic there on, I think, Tuesday nights. And this is at the time I would perform anywhere. I'd go to Compton and do an open. Well, maybe not Compton, but hello. Um, What am I, Kumia? Uh, so, uh, and Bushman went on after me in a full dashiki, going, I beat Norm McDonald in Star Search. I'm like, this guy's full of shit. And then I went home and sure enough, Bushman beat Norm McDonald in Star Search. Did Earl get the blowjob soup recipe? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Are you glad the Bush is coming back? Bushman is not coming back. I'll tell you that. Peter Brennan, I at one point I thought I had a line on who they were, but uh, he's very good at covering up his tracks. All right, we got 5 more minutes. Someone in chat tell me when Kevin Brennan is on, and that's when I will end the stream. I mean, I don't like no hair down there because I really don't want to feel like I'm fucking a 12-year-old. But not that I would know what that's like. Of course, some of my comedy comrades probably do know what that's like, but I don't like. But the problem with a lot of hair down there is, it's gonna smell down there just because they pee pee and it gets in the hair, and you know, it's the way it is. So I like a happy medium. I guess you would call it the bacon strip, whatever. I don't know. Um, so. Um, my gay friend, he was like, I don't know how you go down on a woman. I'm like, why, man? It's amazing if you know what you're doing and it smells good down there. He's like, I don't know, man. Pussy to me just looks like scrunched up deli meat. Now that's all I can think about. Um, no, I don't want to. I don't want to be on MLC. Let me know when MLC's on, and I'll end my stream. I don't want to get involved in that world. Yeah, the strip. Um, I just, I'm respectful. If Kevin, this is a big day in the Dabbleverse. It's going to be nonstop coverage of Atlantic City. I kind of want to watch it myself, even though I'm not in the Dabbleverse. I do. I'm a voyeur. I like to dabble in the Dabbleverse, I guess. Uh, Earl, no, but those days are over. Easy 1, 2, 3. Bill Bellamy used to have a great joke about being in love with a chick until he smelled the cooch. Well, I mean, it can ruin the vibe. Um, so Brian Pillman's grandson, Boom, being honored for preventing a mass shooting. Oh wow, that's great. Dominic Sin, what's up? I'm gonna go pretty soon. As soon as MLC starts, I guess I can go on my phone and see. It's 106, so he should be starting any minute now. Let me go on the YouTube, and then I'll probably come back on tonight at 5. I don't see the notification on. It's upcoming, so I have my phone on. Um, and as soon as Kevin starts, I stop out of respect. Um, but please ask your questions now. So I'd like to thank my tippers before the chat ends. Peter Chicken Man Brennan and Gavin House, $5 UK. God bless, my friend. Thank you very much, Gavin. I hope you like my Will Ospreay UK shirt. I very much appreciate that, Gavin. And, I thank you for all the donations and gifted memberships and super chats and all that stuff. I do appreciate it. 100% of my YouTube income will go back into the show. Favorite heel in wrestling, Sour Milk. MJF, Rick Rude. I like Sid Vicious when he was just a rogue fucking maniac. Well, easy. I like to be respectful. 1 to 4 is his time. I realize he doesn't own the time slot or the internet, but that's just who I am as a person. Yeah, I saw that Boulder Johnny. I mean, that's a tough one to make. You know, I mean, no joke is too soon to me. I mean, I was doing 9/11 jokes before the second plane hit the tower. Hello. Pew. I mean, I remember I did a joke about the Vegas shooting the night it happened. I was at the Comedy Store, and I was like, the guy killed 26 people out of like 50,000. I mean, Stevie Wonder could have had that ratio. And then the crowd was like, oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I think he was still locked up in the hotel room. Well, I don't want to piss people off or make people sad. Did you ever see RFK Jr. do heroin? Well, I've only met him twice, and both were at my parents' funerals, so I think he was on his best behavior. Um, yeah, tough room, Sour Milk. But I take swings in my comedy. I go for it. Like I have a joke that I did Saturday night at the store that I knew was risky, but I did it anyway. I'm like, hey, we all remember Michael Jackson, right? Now I'm going to say the F word. It rhymes with bag, but this is the joke. I'll do the. I didn't do this for Gavin House. Gavin House, $5. God bless my friend. I know I read it, but. So, I'm like, hey, we all remember Michael Jackson, right? It's one thing to be a pedophile, but two? And there was clearly a lot of Michael Jackson fans in the house that night. But, you take swings. You can't sit there and, 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have had the balls to do that joke. But, I was feeling it, and I just said, fuck it. I'm going to do it. And there was an older black couple to my right. I knew they were Michael Jackson fans, and the lady shot me a dirty look. But, you know, that's comedy. You've got to, you know, You know, it's like being a home run hitter. You know, you don't hit a home run unless you swing hard, and if you swing hard, sometimes you're going to miss. Well, I hope you give me full credit for that, Tim. By the way, Tim, you might have to tweet at Joe Rogan. You know, get that ball rolling, but don't make it obvious. It is what time is it here? It's 1:11. Kevin Brennan is still not on, so we're in overtime right now in the Earl Skakel Earlverse stream. So I appreciate you guys. You know, it's a pregame, just a little foreplay, and then I can't do those 3 or 4 hour streams like Kevin. I don't have a goal. You know, that's the great thing about me. Uh-oh. All right, I see the live stream coming. So I'm gonna get my plugs in. I'm at Earl Skakel everywhere. Let me get my iPad out of the way. Do this. Thank you guys for listening. I'll be back on at 5 p.m. If you want to follow me, there we go. I love you all. Earl Skakel.